Was no one going to tell me that Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri did a comedy show together? Hi, I'm Lady Genevieve, and today's video is a review of the new feature film Bottoms, starring comedy queens Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri. The film is directed and co-written by Emma Seligman, and Rachel is credited as the other co-writer. The many years of friendship among this group is entirely evident in the final result. I think that when you have a great rapport, it helps the collaborative process, and for people that are as skilled as these, it also turbocharges the creativity. And considering that this is a comedy, you want the people creatively driving it to be having fun. You have fun making it so that we as the audience have fun watching it. Now, before we get into more of the specifics, I want to first address the ongoing strikes of both SAG-AFTRA and WGA. I will be putting resources to donate to various organizations that are helping the striking workers in the pinned comment of this video, just as I have been doing and will continue to do for the videos that I have published since SAG joined the ongoing WGA strike. I initially wasn't sure if I was even going to still be allowed to do reviews on here, but SAG-AFTRA shared an article by Variety that stated that critics and entertainment journalists were still allowed to do reviews, and that doing so is not a violation of the strikes. Now, if at any point the terms and conditions change, I don't mind stopping the publishing of my reviews. If anyone from SAG-AFTRA were to reach out to me directly, I would 100% follow their request. Apologies to those of you who are my regular viewers and have already heard me say this in multiple videos, but I do want to make sure that I mention it in every video I publish during the strike, just in case anyone new is tuning into my channel for the first time, but also just to keep reminding everyone that this is a space that supports workers being on strike for however long they need to be on strike in order to secure fair terms, working conditions, and wages for both the current and future members of these unions. Now, let's get on to the film at hand.
Just stay in your lane until you're munching beaver at Wesleyan.
Yes, sir.
The premise reads as follows. Two high school senior girls set up a fight club to hook up with cheerleaders before graduation. We have PJ, played by Rachel Sennott, and Josie, played by Ayo Edebiri. They are best friends. PJ has a crush on a cheerleader named Brittany, who is played by Kaia Gerber, and Josie has a crush on a cheerleader named Isabel, who is played by Havana Rose Liu, who is dating the entirely obnoxious and insufferable football player named Jeff, played by Nicholas Galitzine. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but anyway, this is not Jeff's movie, so we are moving on from him because we are here for leading women being hilarious.
I'm gonna talk to Brittany. You can say hi to Isabel.
What would I say? Hey girl, how's your boyfriend? How's his penis?
There are others who round out the ensemble, of course. There is PJ and Josie's friend Hazel, who is aware of their plans when putting this fight club together. There are also other girls in the fight club who appear in enough of a recurring extent that you do get to know certain personality quirks that make each of them feel distinct from one another.
I'm gonna finally reverse stalk my stalker.
Yeah! I'll be able to kill my stepdad.
Awesome.
Okay.
And there is also another football player whose name is Tim, who is very annoying and borderline aggro. I think all the football players are annoying though, to be fair. That's my disclaimer.
Your club is over.
Actually, between you and me, I had thought for a hot minute that they were going to have some sort of reveal eventually that Jeff and Tim were a thing, but that reveal never came. I don't know. There was just something about Tim's energy and how defensive and protective he was about Jeff that had me thinking maybe the main girls and their endgame love interests weren't going to be the only queer love stories in the film.
You can be our club advisor.
You know, my mom did say I need to pick up a hobby. Men need therapy.
Another supporting character I will mention is Mr. G, who is a teacher at the high school who ends up agreeing to be the supervisor of the self-defense club. He was unexpectedly funny, but more unexpected than that fact was when I went to look up the actor portraying him, it turns out he's a former NFL player.
You created a fight club to get some coochie. You don't even know how gotta work that thing.
It's no wonder that I wasn't familiar with him before this, since I pay zero attention to sports. It's simply not my love language whatsoever.
I know y'all ain't tickling the pearl.
I just don't know if you're supposed to be talking to us like that, just like as a teacher.
Now, I really wanted to review Bottoms. That's why I worked so hard to figure out how to get a press screener for it. If 2022 was the year of rom-com icons returning to the genre with a lineup like Marry Me, The Lost City, and Ticket to Paradise, 2023 is the year of the rambunctious female-led comedy. We have Mafia Mama, Polite Society, No Hard Feelings, Joyride, and now we have Bottoms. The comedy girlies are being fed this year, and I'm here for every second of that. But this begs the question of where this film fits into that broader lineup. What sets this apart? Well, for one, it's set in high school, which most of the other films that I mentioned are not, except for Polite Society, which also has a teenage protagonist. But beyond just that, it's a film that is heavily satirical of the high school setting and the cultural norms often showcased in American teen fiction.
Welcome to our fucking fight club.
It actually took me until the very end of the film to fully get a sense and understanding of the comedic perspective of the story, given the level of violence of the film's conclusion.
Let's go fuck up some football players.
If we look at the Red Band trailer, which gives me more of a sense of what I can freely talk about without feeling as though I'm giving away major secrets of the film's plot, there is a confrontation near the beginning of the film involving one of the insufferable popular jocks, Jeff, the football player.
I'm gonna expel you both for committing a crime against Jeff. Get out of the car.
You can't tell me what to do!
He's trying to get to his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Isabel. And in this process, he gets in front of Josie's car to try to stop the car from driving off with Isabel inside. So Josie puts her foot on the gas ever so slightly so that she just barely taps his leg.
Get out of the freaking car!
And I'm not being hyperbolic. Your physician will probably hit your leg harder to test your reflexes than Jeff's leg was hit by Josie's car. And yet he responds as if he was just attacked with a crowbar.
I know how difficult it must be for you to overcome all those years of upper middle class suburban oppression. Must be tough.
And this plays into the larger satirical voice of the story in general, but also how it views this absurd idolization of sports in schools. This idea that popular jocks in schools can get away with just about any type of bad behavior without any repercussions for it because of how important those sports are regarded as. What is that if not being babied? And so the film has the popular jocks acting like overgrown babies. And even though the violence of the film took a bit for me to adjust to on a first watch, the more times I watched my screener, because I think I ended up watching it about 5 times, the more I began to understand it as a physical expression of the larger existential drama of being a girl, and especially of being a teenage girl. At this younger age, so much of what you experience feels like it has life and death stakes, even in the situations where perhaps that's not actually the case. It's not as severe. But conversely, young girls are also subjected to a lot of violence, be it physical, emotional, psychological, or verbal on a micro or macro level. So once I reflected on all of that, it made a lot of sense for the violence to be expressed in the way that it was. You've got these jocks who are terrorizing people and lacking empathy and receiving no punishment for it, while PJ and Josie are repeatedly insulted and bullied for being gay, ugly, and untalented.
Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Guess that's you guys.
Now, there are many words that come to mind when I think of Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri, but ugly or untalented are nowhere near that list. They are so good in this, I cannot emphasize enough how much I love them, playing these disastrous misfits with hearts of gold.
Adrenaline is flowing. Next thing you know, Isabel and Brittany are kissing us on the mouth.
Now, as a romance fan, of course, I was rooting for both of them to get girlfriends by the time the credits rolled, and it was especially satisfying to see some romantic progress being made for Josie, because who knows how long the bear is going to make me wait for Sydney and Carmi to kiss on the mouth. I don't want to talk about that today. I simply do not have the bandwidth for it.
Oh my God. I feel sick.
But rest assured, we will revisit it at some point in the future.
Well, you know, to be fertile.
I love when I can get a feel for a film's creative references, and the fact that the palette overlaps with my taste of this film is so delightful. Them using Avril Lavigne's Complicated as a needle drop, and seeing in an interview that Emma and Rachel were specifically looking for a Y2K sad girl anthem. What a vibe. Truly immaculate.
So now if you'll excuse me, they're playing my jam.
And on top of that, them including bloopers in the credits, I am always chomping at the bits for some good bloopers action in credits. The fact that this used to more or less always be a thing for comedies and then it just stopped for no good reason, and now everyone with taste knows that it never should have stopped, so we're bringing it back. I appreciate each and every one of you who is making films that have bloopers in the credits. Ticket to Paradise did that last year. And if you think that I will be there opening weekend every time to see George Clooney and Julia Roberts doing bickering improv with each other, you are absolutely right.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, me too.
I also read that the film left a fair bit of room for improv for the performers with the skills to do improv, and that just made me so happy. When we're in a place of the humanity of art being existentially threatened by corporations who want to replace it with AI, a film like this really shows how you simply cannot now, nor should you ever presume, that AI can make a movie that speaks directly to the audience the way that creative human artists can. When you have these performers with a high skill set, or you give them the room to create and develop that skill set, you facilitate the further development of the characters so that each performer can make that character their own, even more than they typically would in their creative process as an actor. The filmmaking process is a collaborative one, but especially in a comedy like this, it just makes so much sense to leave that margin open for creative inspiration. Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri are hilarious, and now that I know that they did an entire comedy sketch show called Ayo and Rachel Are Single, I need these two to become the next Laurel and Hardy. I want to see so many more comedic duo projects of them working together because it's gold. Also, there is a point in this film where Ayo has a football player she's thrown over her shoulder and she's running in slow motion, carrying them on her shoulder. Now, is that not the dream of all of us, to have Ayo Edebiri carry us on her beautiful, talented shoulder away to somewhere safe? Anyway, I could probably go on and on about this film, but I want to leave room for the unknown so that all of you can go watch it at the cinema and be genuinely surprised without having heard every detail beforehand from a review that I personally have made. I will just say, support more comedies like these so we can keep this momentum going and more projects like this can get greenlit. I am sick and tired of the propaganda and the capitalist franchises that try to make us buy toys that we simply do not need made by companies that definitely conspired to brainwash children into becoming war criminals. No, thank you. I don't want it.
But I knew who they were, and I told her who they were. Shitheads.
I want to see laughs and romance and friendship and empowerment and self-actualization. I don't think I'm asking for too much. Everyone go see Bottoms in cinemas August 25th. It will need the help considering that none of the cast will be able to do new promotion for the film, which I can only imagine how hilarious those interviews would have been. Rachel and Ayo would have been acting up in the most wonderfully joyful and chaotic way that we will not get to see. But if anyone from MGM watches this video, I'm going to loudly demand that you pay those women to do a commentary track for a DVD of this film, because I will buy it. I want physical media of my favorite films, and this is currently in my top 5 of the year. And by the time we finish the calendar year, it will probably still be in my top 10. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will be back in my next video, which I've already started writing, the topic of which I will be revealing early on my Patreon. But until then, I'll see you. Bye. Actually, there is one other thing I want to mention, just in case you're watching this and you've already seen the film. The part where Ayo's character Josie is trying to flirt and she pantomimes tipping her hat when she's not actually wearing a hat was so unbelievably funny. I must have rewatched just that part an extra 5 times. I don't know. I didn't count, but it was so funny. I need it in my meme folder. It's comedic perfection. She's a genius.